All right, all right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another installment of the Diversity and Talent webinar series brought to you by the Grand Rapids Chamber. My name is Atal Bani, and I get the pleasure of serving as the Vice President of Business and Talent Development here at the Grand Rapids Chamber. And as always, we'd love to start by thanking our sponsors because they make this event possible. We'll start with our premier sponsor, Spartan Nash. Our event underwriters are Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Corewell Health, and Gentex Corporation. Executive sponsors are Amway, Grand Rapids Community College, Meyer, Mercantile Bank, and Trinity Health. And Chamber Champions, AHC Hospitality. I saw there's some of you on here already. Chase Creative, Earhart Construction, Gerald R. Ford International Airport, MSU College of Human Medicine, and Rockford Construction. It is my pleasure to introduce this month's presenter, Mariah Manuel-Berry, who is an organizational development consultant with Service Express. I've had the pleasure of working with her now for a couple of weeks on a few projects and excited to hear from her today. Just a little bit about her before I turn this over to her. Mariah is an experienced learning and development professional with over a decade of expertise in cultivating learning cultures and empowering individuals to embrace their potential and excel in their careers. She specializes in coaching, leadership development, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, DEIB, and strategic organizational transformation, leveraging data-driven techniques and fostering collaboration. In her current role, Mariah rapidly made significant contributions, revamping the company's DEIB initiatives, leading growth in the learning and development department, and actively collaborating with employees and leaders. She spearheaded training and leadership development programs at Rocket Mortgage, where her leading development program garnered a remarkable 92% satisfaction rate among participants in the initial 6 months. She also founded Knowledge Career Experts LLC, a company that empowers mid-career professionals through career guidance, training, and diversity promotion. Over the course of nearly 10 years at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, she held key positions including service quality team leader and lead corporate trainer, where she played a vital role in fostering talent and designing effective training programs. A lot of really, really good stuff there. So I am excited. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mariah Manuel-Berry. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Atai. And I just want to confirm, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, first of all, I just want to give all of my thanks back to the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce. Atai, you have been amazing to work with, a great partner here at Service Express. And it's definitely been a pleasure just getting to know your overall organization and so many great things that you all do for the community. So thank you for your hard work. Everybody, hello. And the first thing I asked was, can I see faces? Because I love to see faces. So I need just a little bit of spirit, a little bit of love. Can someone please drop in the chat? Give me a hello, a yes, we are here. I need to know there are people out there in the atmosphere. So in the chat, just give me some energy. Let me know you're here. All of our audience members, hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for condoning this. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. So this tells me that we have the right people in the room at the right time. As Atai has mentioned, I am so very excited about this topic. Driving diversity and inclusion has been one of my life's mission, over the course of my 36 years here. But for the last 10 plus years, I have really come to understand the power of people. And you'll know through my presentation, which I promise I will not be before you long, as my bishop loves to say, we will not be before you long. But I promise that the information I give you is going to be so helpful, and I keep it simple. I make diversity and inclusion so simple so that anyone can do it, no matter where you are in life. And it allows you to be able to really take some key factors or key strategies back to your workplace or your community or even your family today. So if you're excited about that information, if you're excited to get this information, I want you to drop a yes in the chat. Everybody dropping a yes in the chat if you're excited to hear more. Yes. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Mary, Jeremy. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. So Before we get deep into the topic, I really want to introduce myself, and Natai's done a wonderful job of giving you all the accolades and the great pieces of me, but I want to give you the piece of me that is in my spirit, that is in my heart. My name is Mariah Manuel Berry. I am the organizational development consultant at Service Express, which is headquartered in Grand Rapids. And Service Express is, I like to say, it's a euphoric unicorn of a company. I've worked for plenty of companies in my career, and I can tell you that this company is truly, truly, truly people powered. It cares about the community. It's a global company. I like to call it like a small gym, right? So we're headquartered in Grand Rapids, but we also have satellite locations all across the United States, as well as in Europe. So we're in the Netherlands, we're in the UK. So we are all over. And it's such a privilege to be able to lead the charge on diversity and inclusion in an organization that is global. So I get to do a lot of cross-cultural work. I get to meet a lot of people, have a lot of different experiences. And I promise you, it wasn't always like that. Being at larger companies, sometimes it's harder to really get to the heart of things, but being at this company has allowed me to really maximize my skills. So if you don't know Service Express, I highly recommend that you find out. The other piece is kind of because of Service Express, to be very honest. When I got there back in June, they introduced us to what they call professional, personal, and financial goals, right? So it was a part of their way of their culture. You created these goals, these vision goals, and you went after them. And I'd always had the passion to really do something bigger than myself, to leave behind a lineage. And I wanted to do it in a way that I enjoyed. And I enjoy learning. I enjoy helping other people learn. Out of all the titles that I have, from being a future mother and a pup mom and a wife and a daughter, a sister, all those things, I would say the one that is probably closest to my heart is being a lifelong learner. I am a lifelong learner, and I love to help other people to go on that journey with me of learning. And I believe that because of that, and because of the support of Service Express, I was able to start my own company where I am the CEO and founder of Knowledge Career Experts, LLC. And in that, I get to help so many individuals in one-on-one coaching. I get to do speaking engagements like this, but really being able to share the knowledge of culture and professional development and mentorship as it's been shared to me throughout my career. I feel like it's a each one teach one type of thing, right? No child left behind. So I get to share this with them. And it is a passion because I really, truly believe that individuals' careers get better. They get better when they have the knowledge on how to get better. So throughout this, you're going to get a lot of information. I am going to challenge you in ways that you've never been challenged before. I'm going to ask you to use the chat constantly. And I want to make sure that you're learning along the way. So if that's okay, let me know. Give me a yes in the chat. Let me know that this is okay. Yes. Are we okay? Still here? Okay. Still here. All right. You bet. All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Trish. All right. So before we can get deep into our presentation, before I can give it all to you, we have to make some commitments to each other, because I believe in co-creation when it comes to success. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to commit to you, right? My commitment to you is that I am going to give you my full authentic self. And this message is going to come from an authentic place. It's the only way I know how to be. So I'm going to give you all of me, right? The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you again best practices, tools, things that can help you today to have success when it comes to driving diversity and inclusion. And last but not least, I am going to honor your time. I'm going to honor your experience. But most importantly, I am going to honor your person. I'm not going to make you question who you are. I am not going to question who you are. I am going to trust that this process is for you. And I'm going to answer any questions that you have along the way. Now, in order for this partnership to work, however, you have to make a commitment to yourself. The first thing you have to do is take notes, right? You have to put all distractions to the side. You have to actively participate. I know the cell phone is near. The IMs are probably going off. I have to turn all of my distractions off. You have to be all in. The other thing that you have to do is you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to share openly. This is a safe space. And I make safe spaces for people because I think that's the best way that we learn. And we're going to have fun doing it. In case you didn't hear the music coming in, we're going to have fun along this journey. So if you are okay with me making that commitment to you, and you are willing to make that commitment to yourself, I want you to, you guessed it, drop a yes in the chat. Drop a yes in the chat if this is a commitment we can make to one another. Okay, Stephanie's committed. Who else? Melissa's committed. Leslie's committed. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of commitment. All right, Atah's committed. Good job, Atah. All in. All right, good. Okay, so now let's take off all our distractions and let's get into the world we are in today. On this next slide, you're going to see some questions. And as you see a question that resonates with you, I just want you to simply type in the chat, AHA, 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 right? So people like to call themselves cultural callous or think of a cultural callous as this big, audacious thing that no one can do unless you've been like given the title. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. If you've ever felt like, you know what, there's more that I could be doing, but not just doing, I mean, making a positive impact on the environment that is around you. If you've ever felt that way, I want you to drop AHA in the chat. You felt like, you know what, if I could just figure out how to make it happen, I know that my work, the work that I do that is positive, can really change what our environment looks like today. I see some AHAs. If you felt like, you know what, not just myself, but I believe that individuals, humans, actually have the power to shape the culture of their workplace and their community. I totally believe that we as a human race, we as individuals, we could really make change, make difference happen for not just our workplace, but for our community. If that's you, I want you to type AHA in the chat. Okay, I see some AHAs, good. And last but not least, if you feel like, you know what, I see my actions not just having an impact on today, but I see my actions impacting the future. I see the work that I do, the things that I do, the beliefs that I have, the feelings that I have, the interactions that I have with people. I truly see that I can make a more inclusive and equitable future for not just my children, but my children's 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 children. If that's you, I want you to type AHA. Okay, I see some AHAs. And the good thing is, if you typed AHA to any of this, you're already a cultural catalyst. I am just here to almost indirectly give you your reward, right? For being something that you have been probably your entire life, right? From the moment you could realize that people are people, people are people are people, and humans are humans are humans, and we are all in this thing together. Now, the definition I like to use for cultural catalysts is very simple. But to me, these are change agents who actively promote a positive and inclusive work environment for everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. I mean the janitor. I mean the person who mops the floors. I mean the person who folds the bed. I mean everybody. I mean the CEO. I mean the owners. I mean the chair members. I mean everybody. But not only that, they transform a company's culture and foster diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And guess what? It doesn't matter what title they have. They don't care if they are the CEO, the founder, the secretary, the waitress. They go into every environment of their community, of their work, of their church, of their everything. And they truly change that environment because they are change agents. And that is what I believe cultural catalysts are. And I believe from those previous questions I asked you, if you said, AHA, then you're already doing these things in some way, shape, or form. What I am here to do, and what I hope that you leave with, is some key strategies on how to keep doing it in a way that really, truly maximizes what's already inside of you. So If you want to know my 3 key strategies, I'm going to need a yes in the chat. I'm sorry. I need to see it. I love to see it. So if you want my 3 strategies, okay, Stephanie, you can have the strategies. Anybody else want them? Okay, I see a few more people. Do tell. Yes, Leslie, I will do that for you. Amy, thank you so much. All right, so here are the 3 strategies, and here is where note-taking gets real. So I need you to take really copious notes because I'm sure you're going to have questions in the end, and that is okay. Here are my 3 strategies. They're not that hard. I keep everything simple because we're going to learn these 3 key strategies today in a matter of helping you to become a deeper cultural catalyst, right? And really, really, really driving diversity and inclusion. They are increase awareness, advocate for others, and build a community. I promise you, based on my experience of dealing with and working with and coaching and consulting for CEOs of companies, chief marketing officers of companies, chief diversity officers of companies, but being mentored by some of the top echelon individuals in diversity and inclusion. But not only that, really, really, really being open to life and all it has to offer. New leaders, team members, union members. I've had the opportunity to interact and lead all sorts of people. But these 3 things have not changed, no matter what role you're in. Okay? So this is going to go quick. Here we go. Key number 1, increasing awareness. Now, increasing awareness is hard work. It's all hard work. But this one's a little harder than the others, right? Because it has to start with research, meaning that you have to actively put yourself in experience around people. You have to learn, you have to read, you have to listen to podcasts. You got to do all the things that you're thinking you have to do when you research on one particular topic. Because that's how you get the information. That's how you get the diverse perspective, so to speak, right? Once you've done your research, you then have to put yourself in those experiences that allows you to almost test your research. So you see why I'm data driven. You see why I go into companies and they think I'm about to teach them diversity, equity, inclusion, and they end up finding out data, numbers, and all types of things, because this is the way I work. This is the way I learn. This is the way I teach. First, you got to research. And once you research it, you got to put it to the test. So that means you go out into the world and you have experience. Once you have experience, you then get the opportunity to reflect. And I love the reflection piece because this is where the rubber meets the road. You get to reflect not only on yourself, but you get to reflect on others. Let me give you an example. So a while ago, about a few months ago, after I started my company, I was really passionate about finding an organization that I could support, right? Because I was very passionate about, the work that I do for Knowledge Career Experts LLC is amazing, but it means nothing if I'm not leaving behind a legacy outside of myself. And I don't just mean my family and my children. I mean, even outside of that, right? And I was watching a movie, right? A Lifetime movie. Anybody know Lifetime? Anybody watch Lifetime movies? Anybody binge watch like me and get stuck in Lifetime land? Anybody? Drop it in the chat. Please don't maybe be in this by myself. Anybody? Okay, thank you, Trish. Thank you. All right, so I was watching a Lifetime movie, and this movie was about a woman who her and her husband had lost their child. And it was a very interesting story because their child, disappeared. They go into the local precinct and they say, our child is missing and we need help. And like any other movie, and I don't even know if it happens in real life this way, but the 24-hour rule, right? So come back in 24 hours. And they come back in 24 hours, and the level of service that they got for a missing child was horrible. I mean, they did not care. They didn't interact with them. They assumed things about them. It was a lot of unconscious biases going on there, right? And I'm sitting there watching the movie, And by the end of it, they find the child, everything is good. But the work that the mother had to do to get the child had really nothing to do with the cops. Like, she was out there like beating down doors and putting up flyers, and she found an organization. And the organization was called Black and Missing. And at the end of the movie, they were an actual organization. And I'm like, wow, what is this Black and Missing you speak of? So I go online and I started to research. Tip number one. And I'm looking at the website and I'm like, wait, this is an actual thing? Like, I was blown away because the story was a real story. They always say, Lifetime, this is a true story, right? But I learned there's an entire epidemic of minority individuals who, when they go missing, they don't have the same support and the same outcome that the majority has. And I had no idea that this was happening. And I am a part of a minority group. But transparently, I had never experienced missing, right? Not for myself. Fortunately enough, not for my family or anybody who I know. But I learned in that moment that this was an actual thing. And I wanted to have experience with it. So I did more research on their website. I looked at events. I got to understand videos and stories and things like that. And then I had a reflection moment and I asked myself, what could I do? What can I do to help? Because I wanted to help. Now, yeah, I could share social media flyers. And yes, I could even tell my friends, look out for a person. But some of these things are happening in other states. So I made the decision in that moment that a portion of every amount that is given to me through my company, Knowledge Career Experts, LLC, goes to this particular organization. That was the thing I could do today, right? Now, some of you may be thinking, Mariah, what does this have to do with diversity and inclusion? You're a great example. I get the story. I love, but what does this have to do? I will argue that this has a lot to do with diversity and inclusion. It is the identity of the person. It is the understanding that there is an underrepresented group in this pool of people. It is understanding that what's happening isn't equitable. It isn't fair. It isn't inclusive. It's not happening to everybody. So we can't just say it's everybody. It's happening to a specific group of people. And that is how you increase awareness. And mine came from a movie, sitting on the couch one day watching a movie. I promise you, if you would just think about ways that you can increase your awareness that you haven't done before, you could probably come up with hundreds of ideas, right? But because I'm a challenger, I'm going to have you all come up with just one. So if you're looking at the screen and you see the 4 layers of identity, and you see that there's a primary, secondary, organization, and cultural layer, right? I want you all to look at these different layers. And I want someone to drop in the chat, or everyone to drop in the chat. What is one of these things that you see on the screen that maybe you've never really researched, you never even thought about before, you never even considered being a part of a person's identity or their diversity or their inclusivity? Drop it in the chat. Which one of these words stand out to you as being something you had never thought of before until now when you're seeing it? Just one of the topics. You can choose it from any of the layers. Just drop it in the chat. Conflict resolution, personal space. That's a good one. Conflict resolution, absolutely. Competition or cooperation, flexible or structured, personal space. Yeah. Network, Yep. Any more? Individual or team. Yep. So yeah, so these are different identities, right? These are topics that you could take today research, get experience from, reflect on, and you can expand your knowledge. I wish so much I could have you all come off you to get into it, to give me some examples, but I won't do that to you. But I will challenge you that, after this ends, after we have the chance to be together, look at the list, look at what you wrote, and figure out ways that you can do research. And it does not have to be hard, I promise. There's so many resources in the world today. And if you need resources, I'm your girl. You can reach out to me. I got resources galore. Follow me and find me on LinkedIn. We can stay connected. But I do want you to know that this is just one of the keys of how you can maximize being a cultural catalyst. Personal space, for example, that's one that's really important when it comes to cross-cultural work. Because when you're dealing with people from another culture, you'll learn that their level of closeness may be way different than what you've experienced in Midwest Michigan, right? We're kind of a little bit further away, right? We're not as close, right? And some cultures are different. Some households are different. But when you have a better awareness, when you have different experiences with different people and you're able to reflect on those things, you're able to make sure that those people feel like they belong, like they're included, like they matter when they're in your space. All right, that's number one. Number two, advocate for others. So a lot of you all mentioned conflict resolution, and guess what? That's what this one is really all about. It's about conflict resolution. And advocating for others, I know it is risky, right? I don't say it lightly. I don't just make it a key because I can. I promise you, this one is the one that is the most risky. And it's not risky because advocating for others is a bad thing. It's because it involves more of your feelings, how people are being received, how people will be perceived, how people will perceive you. And in order for it to truly work, you have to be curious. You need to ask questions, knowing that you don't know it all, right? And you have to assume the best intentions of people. So it takes a lot out of you as a person. But most importantly, you want to be focused on the problem at hand and be a problem solver. So I like to tell people you want to call people in versus calling them out. Now, if the CEO of a company says something that's inappropriate in the middle of a meeting, is that the time for you to advocate for others? Probably not, right? But is it an opportunity for you to pull that CEO to the side later and have a heart-to-heart conversation with them that calls them in and not out, where you can ask questions or you can give a different perspective that they may have never had before? I've had to do that a few times with chief officers, and you will be so surprised by how many of them just didn't know, right? Our world is changing. It is changing for everybody. As an African-American woman, I can tell you it's even changed for me. The things that I thought I knew, the people that I thought I understood are not always correct. I have to check my biases, but I also have to make sure that I'm asking questions out of curiosity and not out of putting people down or making them feel bad. Now, I want to share a story with you all for this one, and it's a TED Talk, and I really, really enjoyed this story. And I'm going to give you some background. I'll share the link with you all later so you can look at the full thing, but we're going to watch a snip. So this is Erin Gruwell, and she's a high school teacher. Backstory, she was raised in a beautiful home. Her family took care of her. You know, she was able to go to school, financially set. She then became a teacher in an area that was really different from hers, right? All the things that you can think of in a poverty area, an area where there's not as many resources. And guess what? She was a cultural catalyst. So she changed the culture that she was a part of, but she changed it by advocating for her students. Now, it was risky. It was risky for her. It was risky for her students. I'm sure it was risky for the entire district, but she stayed curious. She related to the students. She wanted to understand them, and she gave them resources. And most importantly, she was solving for a problem. And in doing so, because she changed their lives, they became so passionate that they wanted to change the world. And from them wanting to change the world, it turned into, let's go to Washington, D.C. and tell what I would like to kind of coin as their diversity story. They wanted to tell their identity story. And she supported them. So let's listen in on how this pans out. And I want to, in the chat afterwards, give me any type of aha moments or reflections that you have from this story.
So they didn't have the luxury of going home and talking to that hardworking single mom and asking her to pull out her visa, or convincing her to write that check, or even to go to the ATM and get that crisp $20 bill, because if they had that $20 bill, that should go for lights. That should go for food in that fridge. So I told my students, you have to figure out a way. If we're going to get from point A to point B, if we're going to take this journey, you have to figure it out. And as we began to fundraise, one of my students put me on the spot like all kids will do, and he said, Ms. G, what happens if we raise all of this money and we don't make it there? And at that moment I thought, well, we're not going to make it there. So like a deer in the headlights, I said, well, if we raise all of this money and we don't make our way to Washington, D.C., we can buy some more books. Maybe we can take a field trip to the Museum of Tolerance. Maybe we can have a pizza party. So in that case, it's a win-win because we did it together. And then I stopped myself, and to this day, I don't know how and I don't know why. But I said, but if we do make that trip and we do raise that money, your lives will never be the same. And they did. So for a brief moment, I'd like to show you our field trip when 150 kids put down a fist, put down a gun, picked up a pen, and wrote their story and took their words, their story, to our nation's capital.
Somebody came up with this idea that we should honor all of our friends that had been lost to senseless death.
So we wrote names of people we lost in our lives on pins, and we were wearing them as a symbol of that their spirit is still alive. You know, they're still with us, they're still part of us.
We all held hands, and we left the hotel holding hands.
We took a walk to the Washington Memorial, and it was quite a way. And there was 150 of us, and we didn't let go. Everybody started honking at us, and we just kept on walking.
The world just goes by and no one stops to look at somebody in their face, to actually look at them for who they are. And so we stopped traffic. And you could feel the presence of this is something bigger than us.
I'll never forget, this man rolled down his window and he was very disgruntled, and he said, "What are you doing?" And one of the Freedomers said, "We're changing the world." For a group of 150 students, change meant that they didn't have to be like that mother who was strung out, or that deadbeat dad, that they could rewrite their own ending.
Story gets me every time. It's such an amazing story. So I just want to hear any aha moments. Drop them in the chat. Anything that resonated with you from that story that you can think of from advocating from others, from risk, from curiosity, from being a problem solver. Does anything stand out to you? Just drop it in the chat. I know we don't have that long, but I do want to get some moments, some ideas, some feedback from as many people that's willing to share. Stephanie says she loves this. Yes, story. It is a great story, Stephanie. I'll make sure to share with everybody. Anybody else? Anybody else see curiosity or risk or problem solving, hope, positive attitude, having the opportunity to rewrite a story? Amazing. Anything else? Belongingness and inspiration. Yeah, and advocating for others, togetherness. Yes, that's what it's all about. So again, I know it's risky, right? To be the hand raiser, to go against the grain, to put yourself out there. But I also know if you do it in a way of curiosity, if you do it in a way of problem solving, then you will find that there are so many people like you who are willing to take that risk with you. And I think that's what that story tells us. It shows us that when you believe in a group of people, when you support them in a way that they haven't been supported before, you will be surprised as to not how you can change their lives, but you can then allow them to change the lives of others. So let's put this into practice, all right? So on the screen, I have two very common type of D&I factors that show up in our world, right? Not just at work, but they also can show up in the community. And I want, one or two people, we'll start with the first one, to drop in the chat. Looking at these common examples, how can we use risk or curiosity or problem solving in any of the information we've learned today to really challenge and change the stereotype? So the stereotype that we're talking about is a group of individuals assumes that a younger colleague lacks the experience necessary for a leadership role because of their age. So drop in the chat, what is one thing that you can think of if you're advocating for that person, that younger colleague? What could you do? What could you say? What are some of the things that go through your head when you think about advocating for them? You can just drop it in the chat. Introduce them in their experience and training. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? That's amazing, Stephanie. Great ideas. We'll just have one more person share. Challenge their perception with curiosity questions. Absolutely. Okay. And you'll be surprised. Get them to share their experience, how they got there. Encourage coworkers to speak to the colleague. Amazing. All these things are perfect. Because what you'll learn is that as you do the work of diversity and inclusion and you're driving these two things, most people just want to be heard. Most people aren't listening. Most people are doing more talking than listening. But when you can get the kind of culture to calm itself and hear one another, the group of individuals may have valid assumptions. They may have had experiences that we don't know about, but their unconscious bias may be placing it on this person who they've never had given a chance, right? Let's do the second one. Microaggressions and unconscious bias. Let's say you have a colleague who is repeatedly being interrupted by a team member from a different background. What are some things that you can think of? And just drop them in a chat that you can do to help that colleague who is constantly being interrupted. We'll just give one or two people the opportunity to share. I told you it'll be a challenge. Okay. Make sure there is an explicit opportunity for the person to contribute. Absolutely. More intentional time for people to share. Great job, Jeremy. Anybody else want to share? Meeting guidelines. That is, Missy, you are speaking to my heart. I love a good meeting guideline. I like processes, right? Keep us in order. Ask the colleague questions to give them more opportunities. Amazing. So you all are getting it. Look, you're experts. I've only got through the first two keys and you already got it. I'm so proud of you all. Now, this last key, building a community, I want to share a story with you all. I love stories in case you haven't noticed. The personal story that I want to share with you came because I was appointed in my kind of career where I was looking to change, right? I wanted to change companies. I loved what I was doing, so I didn't want to necessarily change the work that I did, but I wanted to do it in a different place. And I reached out to my network, and one individual told me, hey, have you met Chelsea? And I was like, no, I haven't met Chelsea, right? Why would I have met Chelsea, right? So I hadn't met Chelsea. Chelsea was in Atlanta, he shared, and he said, she's amazing. She's done a lot of startup company work. She actually has her own company. You might get a lot out of that conversation. You should reach out to her. She's been on my podcast before. And I listened to the podcast, and Chelsea was kind of great, right? I loved her personality. I love the way that she really shared her thoughts and her opinions. And I felt good around Chelsea. So I reached out to her on LinkedIn. And sure enough, within the first 5 seconds, me and Chelsea were connecting. And we were connecting because we wanted to support each other. Like, we were both like, what can we do to help one another? And before I knew it, we were coming up with ideas. And we were connecting on a level that, honestly, I never connected this instantly with anyone else in our field, in our industry before. And we both learned that it came because we wanted to do something bigger than ourselves. And before we knew it, Chelsea and I said, you know what? We both work from home 100% of the time. We need to build a community. We need to make sure that we have an opportunity to connect with people intentionally that are like us and not like us, and get different perspectives. And we should do something about it. And we came up with the idea of roundtables. So every quarter, Chelsea and I gets a group of individuals together from all across the world, and we talk about whatever topic there is that everybody wants to talk about. And its most recent roundtable this month was about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And I can tell you, there is nothing like having a group of individuals from all across the world, from so many different companies, giving their strengths and their opportunities and lessons learned, and just networking and connecting and coming up with ideas and getting creative and finding ways to support each other in that environment and outside of that environment. I mean, there were one-on-ones happening afterwards. It was amazing. And me and Chelsea got together and we reflected after this session, and we said, who knew that all of this came because her and I just wanted to stay connected? And building a community is absolutely necessary in the work of driving diversity and inclusion. You're going to have the perspectives of other people, but most importantly, you can learn so much, but you can give so much through this. So I highly recommend that if you do not have a community, you need to build a community. And it's easy to do. So easy, I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So this time, everybody has to participate, and you got 30 seconds to drop it in the chat, all right? So here's how we're going to build a community. I want you to imagine yourself as a diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging ambassador at whatever company you're in your community. And I want you to drop in the chat, what is one thing that you can do to create a more inclusive or engaging workplace or community? 30 seconds. What's just one thing you can do? Come on, drop it in the chat. Listen. Ooh, somebody got it right off the bat. Good job, Melissa. Anything else? Start affinity groups. Amazing. That is a wonderful idea. What else? Give me more. Give me more. Be more engaged. Be respectful. Support others intentionally. More. Come on, give me more. 30 seconds. 10 more seconds. Model preferred behaviors. Invite people. Be compassionate. Boost voices of others. All those things are great ideas. And guess what? You all just built a community, because everybody on this call has access to these ideas. They might reach out to you and say, you know what? I noticed, Jeremy, that on the call, you talked about being curious and recruiting for more diversity. I'm struggling with that. What are your ideas? How can we stay connected? How can we support one another? When you start to think about that as a way to build a community, it works every single time. When you come from a genuine place that says, we can do this together, it works. All right, that's my last key. Told you I wouldn't be before you long, but I want to leave you with some resources. The resources that I have to share with you, I'll make sure that you get this all in a follow-up, are 3 key resources that I use in my career and others have used as well. The first one is a great book. It actually helps to do what we just did, and it lets you go deeper because it gives you more ideas. How to be a diversity and inclusion ambassador. I highly recommend that you pick up this book. It allows you to be able to become an ambassador, learn how to be an ambassador, but you have more ideas that you could ever imagine. The second one is the Inclusion Magazine. Now, this is a magazine that I found a few months ago just researching, right? And it's an amazing magazine because it's real life stories from organizations about how they're being more strategic in this space of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. It is so great of a resource. It's amazing. It's free. It's online. You can order it. Take advantage of it. And last but not least, I recently obtained another certificate because I'm a lifelong learner from Spelman College in Atlanta. And it's the certificate that I got was Leading Self, Leading Others. And a part of the certificate, they asked us to read this book, Diversity in the Workplace. And I highly recommend this book because even as an African-American woman who had had experiences, these were interviews that were of experiences that I never had, things that I couldn't even imagine going through. So it was really impactful because it taught me, as I become more of a deeper cultural catalyst, it gave me the opportunity to understand people on a deeper level. Highly recommend that you pick up this book because you're going to need it, because this work is hard, in case I haven't said that. So I'm going to leave you with the video. And the video that I'm going to leave you with, I think it culminates and put everything together. It lets us know that we are in this together and you can do the work every single day. So I'm going to quickly play the video. You can give your aha moments and we'll be done.
You know that little voice in your head? The one that tells you to ignore a tasteless joke.
The one that tells you to keep quiet when a client makes a racist comment.
The little voice that tells you you're not smart enough because English isn't your first language.
Or that it's okay to judge someone for leaving early because they have family commitments.
Sorry about that.
The one that tells you not to say anything when others are being reduced to stereotypes.
Or that it's not a big deal when everyone's opinion isn't considered.
You may think you're the only one that hears that voice, but that voice also speaks to other people. It says,
You're different.
You're an outsider.
You lack commitment.
Your opinion doesn't matter.
Instead of listening to that little voice, you need to find yours and make it heard. It's time for all of us to speak up. Because when we change the dialogue, we can change our world.
Oh, I love that video because, again, I think it truly, truly culminates this entire training. And I hope that you all saw what I saw, is that your voice matters. We need you to increase your awareness. We need you to advocate for others, but you absolutely have to build a community. It will really, really help so many people. So as I pass it over to Atah, I am going to ask that you all drop your biggest takeaway. What was the one thing that you took away from this message that you are going to use, you are going to go try, you are going to do after this call is over. Thank you so much for having me. I'll pass it over to you for any Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mariah. Oh my goodness. So much, so many nuggets that we could take away. I will say we don't have a whole lot of time for Q&A, but I want to at least put that out there that if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll see if we can get to it before our time runs out. But as you are writing your biggest takeaways, like I'd love to hear from you, Mariah, first of all. If you had to write the takeaway for us, what takeaway would that be?
Yeah, I say this so often to so many people at all different levels, is that this work is not easy. I think people see diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. They're like, oh, I just gotta, get people together. I just gotta be nice. I just can't be racist or sexist and this and ism that. And it's so much more. And I feel like for me, that's what I've been able to learn, being in so many different experiences from college to even my current company, just making those connections. You start to learn that people are just people and we're all trying to do the things the right way, but just giving people grace and really, really understanding that this work is hard because it deals with people. That's okay. Yeah. It's the biggest takeaway I can give.
I love it. I love it. So you said a couple things in there that I want to highlight. You said this work is not easy. This work is hard. And when you hear those types of words, it means it can take a lot out of an individual. How does Mariah fill her cup so that you can continue to do this work day in and day out?
Yeah, it is the people. I promise you, I get my energy from people. The unconscious bias training we did the other day. So many people messaged me afterwards and like, oh, you and Ata, we're so excited. And people were like, I can't believe you're 13 weeks pregnant. I was never like that, and it's the people. When I see and feel the chat and I know that this work isn't in vain, it helps to fill my cup. But of course, I'm reading a lot. I'm researching a lot. I'm podcasting every single day. So when I make my offer to individuals to reach out to me on LinkedIn, I truly, in my heart, mean that. Feel free, because I am full of resources. I would not show you my desk right now. There are books all around me. But I just believe in lifelong learning, and that helps me and the people.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'll ask one last question. I'm not seeing any coming in the chat yet, but one last question from me. So obviously, one of the takeaways that I'm getting from this is the fact that culture is in the hands of everybody. So everybody holds a piece of the culture. So how do you empower teams to be able to take hold of their piece, their handle of the rope, to be able to pull the culture in a direction that would help?
Yeah, it's the 3 keys. It's the ones that are in front of you, right? So increasing awareness doesn't just mean I increase my awareness. It means that I increase the awareness of others. I'll share a quick story with you. When I got to my company, I had a lot of great interactions, and someone in particular asked me about my background. And I love that they asked me about my background because they hadn't experienced anybody from the city of Detroit. Why would they have if that wasn't a part of what they've experienced in their past or going to college and things like that? And I think just that curiosity really showed me that they were open to awareness. And then advocating for others. And for me, that means that when I'm in rooms and things are said that I don't think everybody else feels good about, I have the courage to be able to say something in the right space. Most importantly, I make sure to reach out to those people who are underrepresented or who feel like they're alone, and hopefully build a community with them and help them to find people to build a community with. Service Express has done an amazing job with really opening the doors to so many people. We have so many great goals ahead of us. Our employee resource groups has really allowed us to build community in a different way. So I think it's sharing these keys, not just for yourself, not holding them onto yourself, but sharing them with everybody else, which I hope everybody does after this call.
I love it. So thank you so much, Mariah. Like, this has been great. As always, love your energy. Definitely have some nuggets to take back and to chew on. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today and spending your morning with us. As always, we'd love for you to join us at our next webinar. The last one of the year will be Tuesday, November 28th. Registration is now open. Our speaker for that will be Ana Ramirez Saenz, owner of La Fuente Communications. We're excited to hear from her as well. And also, following this event, you will receive a survey asking you if you would recommend this program to others. And we really would appreciate your feedback. It is how we work to enhance these events and programs. So please share your thoughts and experiences with us. And yeah. We thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll see you all next month again. And thank you again, Mariah.
Oh, thank you. Have a good day, everybody.